Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Kim and welcome back to Uncommonkim. So today I'm going to be talking you through my end of year TBR. So this is going to be all the books I would love to get to by the end of the year. I am also like 10 books behind my Goodreads goal, so actually getting through these would be great, but they are all massive which isn't going to help me get to my goal, so we'll see. But I have 3 lists. I have the must reads, the maybes, and then the I want to but who knows. So I thought we would start with the must reads, which are pretty much all books that have a sequel coming out next year. No, they are all books that have a sequel coming out next year, which I want to read before the sequel releases. So let's start with my must reads. My first must read is A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. So this is a Fairy Loot book. It came out earlier this year, I think February, and everyone was hyping it, everyone was loving it, and I just haven't read it yet. But I believe there is another book coming out in this series next year. I do believe I will really enjoy this series, so I do just want to kind of get in there quick and read this before the end of the year. Understood. The next one is another book which starts a series, but that's Thrall of the Fallen by Kerry Maniscalco. So I read the entirety of The Kingdom of the Wicked and I loved it. It was a really good series for me, and this basically follows on from that, but we're following a different, what do we call him? Demon. I believe we follow Envy in this one instead of in The Kingdom of the Wicked we follow Wrath, and this is the really nice Waterstones edition. It's absolutely stunning. Not Waterstones, Fairy Loot, sorry, not Waterstones, which is absolutely freaking stunning, and I have ordered the second book in this series from Fairy Loot, so I have matching editions, so I kind of need to read this, otherwise I've ordered it for nothing. Understood. So yeah, I'm really excited to get to this one. I believe it's got some sort of competition. I don't usually like competitions, so we'll see. Next is one that's quite embarrassing. I haven't read Ironflame yet. So I read Fourth Wing at the end of last year, and I was gonna read Ironflame like straight after, and I didn't. I started it. I think I got like 60 pages in and then a bit bored, so we're gonna try again and hopefully get to this, because Onyx Storm comes out in January and I kind of want to get on the hype train, since I have the nice sprayed edge edition of Fourth Wing Ironflame, and I will have the Onyx Storm one, and I just want to like it. I loved Fourth Wing. It was a 5-star read. It was crack in the pages. It was really, really good. So I'm hoping this is the same, but I have heard a lot of people not find it the same. So we will see about that one. Interesting, the fantasy trend, because like for the last 4 months I haven't been on my fantasy trend, so you notice how I'm trying to fit them all in for the end of the year. Yeah, it continues. We have Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. I love Cassandra Clare. I'm a Cassandra Clare stan. I love her YA. This is her first adult, and this came out at the end of last year. I went to a book signing in Toppings in Bath and got to see her. She was ill at the time, so I didn't get to actually physically meet her, but I did get to see her, and she spoke about the book, and I have started the book twice. The first time I was just in a slump. Second time, I don't really know what happened. I think a readathon started, so I put it down. I never picked it back up, so we need to get on this. Because again, the Rag Picker King comes out next year on my birthday. Oh. We know how I'm spending my birthday, reading the Rag Picker King. This is again the Fairy Loot edition. I actually own 5 copies of Swordcatcher. 5 copies of Swordcatcher, and I haven't read it. I haven't read it, and I need to. I do, because I do think I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm really excited to read the sequel when that comes out, so I really need to read this one. And the final must read is The Will of the Many by James Islington. This has been very, very hyped and loved this year. I haven't actually seen many people not enjoy this. I know that Jade from Jadeyraereads loved it, and I actually heard recently that Becca enjoyed it as well, so that is exciting. And I have very similar interests to both of those, so I'm really hoping I'm going to like this one. I believe there's a sequel coming out next year. I could be very wrong with that, but also this is just an excuse that I actually just really, really want to read it and kind of get on that hype train. So yeah, we're sticking this one on here. Okay, so next we have the Maybes. So the Maybes are kind of final books, continuations, and we have one that starts a series. But they're mainly final books in the series or a continuation of the series. Understood? So first we'll do the one that's kind of starting a new series, which is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Horchett. I've heard a hell of a lot of people enjoy this recently, and I have been really into my cozy fantasy vibes, so I really want to get to this one, and I feel like I'm in my cozy fantasy era at the moment, so I really want to get to this one soon, like maybe in October, because I am just loving the cozy fantasy vibes at the moment. It has been a vibe, and I really know that a lot of people really enjoyed this one. I know as the books have gone on, people haven't enjoyed them as much, but I still just want to get to it, read it, experience it for myself, and understand what people love about it, to be perfectly honest. This one has been on a couple of my TBRs in the past. I've just never gotten around to them, but hopefully by the end of the year we can do it. To the next 3 are all final books. That is actually atrocious that I haven't finished the series yet. So first we have Muse of Nightmares by Lani Taylor. I read Strange the Dreamer last year, and it was one of my favourite books of last year. But I haven't read Muse of Nightmares yet. I loved Strange the Dreamer. I loved it so much. I didn't expect to love it as much as I did, but I ended up giving it 5 stars. It was a new favourite, and it was in my top 10 of last year. It was a freaking vibe, and I remember the plot so well, to the point where I can just go into this, but for some reason I haven't. But I really want to, but I also think I'm really scared because it is just a duology. So this is the last book. There's only 2, and I don't know if I'm ready for this series to be over, but here we are. This is a disgrace, because I've owned the whole series for years. I read the second book in this series this year, gave it 5 stars. Read the first book in the series last year, gave it 5 stars. You would have thought that'd be enough to make me read the third, but you'd be wrong. And that's Empire of Gold by S.A. Chakraborty. So this is the third and final book, apart from the novella, in the Jadeyraereads trilogy, and I freaking love the Jadeyraereads trilogy so far. City of Brass, absolute fave. Kingdom of Copper, chef's kiss. I want to read Empire of Gold. Yes, it's massive. Yes, I'm fully aware. But I really want to read it for many reasons. Obviously, it finishes a series. It might be an all-time fave. I've heard everyone says the books get better as you go on. This is the 3rd one. There we go. I can also then read the... I can't remember what it's called. The one about the girl in this world on to do with pirates or something like that. There's another book that's like set different characters but set in the same world, and I want to read that. But I can't read it until I've read this. And also we have the River of Silver novella, so I really want to read that as well. But I love these characters so much, and I need to read it. I need to read it. I know it's massive, I need to read it. Hopefully my fantasy era will kick in the next like 2 months, and all of these books will be read. But I really need my fantasy era to kick in, because we haven't really had a good fantasy year, to be honest. Talking of fantasy, Tyrant's Throne by Sebastian de Castell, another series that is a 5-star series for me. so far, and this is the fourth and final book in the Greatcoats series. And if anybody follows Jade from Jadeyraereads, you'll know she is the ambassador of the Greatcoats and Sebastian, and this is where I was recommended this series from. And actually, now that this main series is finished, we actually have 2 other books which are gonna follow on the Greatcoats, but not the Greatcoats as we know them, different Greatcoats, which is in the Crucible of Chaos and Play of Shadows, and Play of Shadows has actually become Jade from Jadeyraereads' new favourite book of all time, which is huge. That's massive, and for a fantasy lover who loves things like Jade does, that's freaking huge. So I need to read this, so then I can read that. Couché, understood? Beautiful. And the final one in the maybe category that isn't a fantasy is The Christmas Tree Farm by Laurie Gilmore. If you've seen any of my recent vlogs, I recently reread The Pumpkin Spice Cafe. I gave it 5 stars. And then I read The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, which I gave 5 stars. So you have no idea how excited I am to read The Christmas Tree Farm. This will definitely get read. Out of this entire TBR, I can promise you, I will read this. I probably might not read anything else, but I would definitely read this. I can promise you that. This is the 3rd book in a romance series called Dream Harbour. In the first one, we follow Jeannie and Logan. In the second one, we follow Hazel and Noah. And then in this one, we follow Kira and Bennett, and we have been like slowly introduced to Bennett through the other 2 books, and Bennett is Jeannie's brother, and I'm so excited to read about Bennett because we only know Bennett through FaceTime, so to know Bennett in person is going to be sick. Also, there's a really cute Westie on the cover, and I'm excited to know what his name is, because we have like in the first book we have Ghost, the cat, and I'm just excited to be introduced to more animals. Yay. And then my last and final stack is the I want to, but who knows, which is basically all the books I really want to read. Like, if I didn't have a full-time job and worked 5 days a week, near enough like 11 hours out of the house each day, I would read like right now. These are those books, and this stack is huge. So I'm going to briefly go through each one, and yeah. Thanks for sticking around if you have been for this long. So the first book, we have The Fragile Threads of Power by V.E. Schwab. So this carries on after the Darker Shades of Magic trilogy. This is set in the same world, some of the same characters, but we also introduce new characters, but I am so excited to read this one. I've only heard great things. There's a girl I follow on Instagram called Anna. I'll leave her link down below. She is a V. Schwab queen and stan, and to bring her up again, Jade from Jadeyraereads loved this. So I'm really excited to read it because I love the Darker Shades of Magic trilogy, and I just think I'm going to love this just as much. I do believe this is going to be a new series, so super excited for that. Next we have The Final Strife by Sarah El Sarafi. This is her other series. So I read Feybound this year and fell in love with this author. Like, her writing is phenomenal. I loved it so much. But this is her other series. The Final Strife is the first book. I don't know what this series is called, or if it even has a name. All I know is Final Strife. So it's a trilogy. The final book in the trilogy has just come out. And I'm very much intrigued to read her other work, and this is the first book in that trilogy, so I am really excited to read it. But again, fantasy, running trend. To continue the trend, we have When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. Everyone and their nan has been talking about this year. And I nearly read it last month when Steph hosted a book club for it on our Patreon, but I'm a twat and I didn't read it. But this is the like Waterstones edition that they did, and I think everyone got hyped about this due to like Fourth Wing and things, so I'm excited. I'm excited and I really want to read it. And where is it? Look how cute. It's a very cute dragon. But I've heard there's not many dragons, so it's like When the Moon Hatched, but and like lots of dragons here and here, but apparently it's not many dragons, so we'll see. Empire of the Damned by J. Kristoff. I read Empire of the Vampire at the beginning of this year, just around my birthday actually. There was an entire vlog of me reading it, and I loved it. 5 stars. I don't think a book this size could keep me intrigued for that long. How very wrong I was. I loved it. And funnily enough, just after I read it, this bugger came out. And have I read it yet? No. Why? Because I'm intimidated as fuck. This is bigger than the first one. And I was intimidated enough as by that one, so now I'm more intimidated. So I'm putting this on here because I want to read it. I'm intrigued. I love the first book. I want to know what's going to happen, especially after that ending. But intimidated. Run away for a little while from the fantasy trend. We have We Solve Murders by Richard Osman. This is his new release, completely away from the Thursday Murder Club series, and a new series where we follow a daughter-in-law and her father-in-law, where they solve murders on an island or something or another, and I'm really super stoked about it, because I love Richard Osman, and no matter what he brings out, I'll read it. Back to fantasy. I had you there. No, literally. I put We Can't Spell Treason Without Tea, which I have already started and I was really enjoying. This is by Rebecca Thorne, and reason I put it down was, if you don't know, I lost my nan 4 months ago, and I was reading this at the time of her loss, so it went in the bin. But I was really enjoying my time, and I am really excited to read it, especially because it's cozy fantasy, and cozy fantasy is my shit, so it makes sense. Final 3 books I'm going to show you is all a part of the same series, and this is very unlikely, but is the next 3 books in the Bone Season series. So I read book 1 a couple of months back when I went to Oxford for a trip, and while I was there, no, not Oxford, Southampton, and while I was in Southampton I picked up these 3 stunning editions that they brought out, as Samantha Shannon has rewritten them all, and I want to get through all 3 of these before the new book comes out in February. Yeah, you know as well as I do that's not happening, but it's a thought. But that is my end of year TBR. There is a lot of books, a lot of fantasy books. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know down below if you read any of these or what I should prioritize over others. Like if you liked my video, maybe. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you soon for another video. Bye guys.